Sounds good.
I believe we're live right now.
Well, everybody, welcome to episode 16 of the podcast, How Do You Know That, with Robert Hollis. We are so glad to have you with us today. And before we get things going, if you are watching us on YouTube, please hit the like and share buttons. So that as well as the subscribe button to let so that you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you are listening to us elsewhere in the podcast universe, please like and share this with friends and help us spread the word. Also, if you'd like to join us in our exclusive community, the Inner Circle, you can join us by going to roberthollis.com/join to register. There'll be lots of great exclusive content, and you'll be able to participate in our special breakthrough sessions, which takes place every Thursday starting at 3 p.m. Pacific, and they help you move on to the next level. Today, episode 15 of How Do You Know That with Robert Hollis, and our topic today, should have known better. Now, allow me to introduce our host of today's show. He is an entrepreneurial evangelist renowned for his incredible achievements. He is also known for inspiring countless of individuals around the globe with his unwavering determination and spirit, and he has also helped 67 people as of this date become millionaires. Known as a mentor, GPS to success, and of course, a dear friend. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Robert Hollis.
Thank you so much, Greg. I love and appreciate you. I'm really, really excited about this, and this title is going to be fun for me. And the reason it's going to be fun for me is I know that the mistakes that I've made has gotten me to where I am today. And so, I know there's going to be a lot of people that see this, and it's like, even when Craig said the title, I was going, that's a little bit of beating yourself up. I should have known better. Really? Really? See, it's like we all do things, and when we do things, we do them because we're looking at we're looking to experience incredible experiences and emotion from that. Why would any of us do anything in life if we knew that we were going to get hurt, if we knew that we were going to get physically hurt, if we knew that, I remember one time where, I decided to ride down a big hill behind my house in a wagon just because me and my decided to do it. And the example of that was that it was going to be exhilarating. Why wouldn't it be exhilarating? Until the wagon flipped over and my foot got caught in it and it about broke my ankle. See, that was like, I should have known better.
No, I remember that. I was there.
I should have known better. But here's the silly thing. I can't honestly say to everyone that's watching this podcast, if I was given the same opportunity, that I wouldn't probably do it again. So I don't, should have known better probably is a little bit of beating ourselves up, but it is something. I remember hearing this phrase, and I think you guys will get a kick out of it, is someone said to me once, you should stop shoulding all over yourself. Just stop shoulding all over yourself. It's like, so I'm really looking forward to this because I just know, man, I was going, when we came up with the subject, my first thought is there's no way I can share with you guys all the mess ups that I've done in an hour podcast. So, I just feel like I would give you some stuff that everyone, I mentally probably should have known better, but we do have 5 areas of our life. And I think that people could say, is there stuff that I shouldn't have done that I regret on a relationship matter? Friends that maybe should still be friends, or just relationships where, we maybe did some things that we shouldn't all over yourself. And you sort of go, I blew that relationship. I freaking messed that up. Or maybe it wasn't even that you did something. It maybe you were just not there for them. You're too busy focused on stuff that you thought was important. So we could talk about those. And then how about physical? I already told you physical is like walking down the stairs, believing that at 61 I can kick a tennis ball. So it wouldn't, my wife doesn't step on it, and then I break my shoulder blade. Yeah, I shouldn't have tried to kick the tennis ball. And then we got financial ones. A lot of people, are constantly shooting all over themselves because maybe there was opportunities they should have took, or maybe they took ones that really didn't turn out that well. And you get taken advantage of. And it's not, I always notice this more with women, and I'm not just trying to paint a big brush, but women have a tendency, in my opinion, to take things more personal than men. So if you notice, if it's anything to do with losing money, or in a bad relationship, and they find out the person cheated on them or whatever, there's this unique thing that women have that makes them so special, where they go, you made me look like an idiot. And they just believe that the whole world sees them as an idiot. So it's not just that they lost the money or they didn't see the bad relationship. It's like the whole world now knows that they're an idiot. You know what I mean? Men, on the other hand, I've seen, again, painting a big brush, it's like, geez, I was stupid. And they move on. Now, maybe not all men and all women, but, so we're and then the thing, the thought part, where we're talking about on personal development, and working on us. There's things that I bought into hook, line, and sinker that took me money, time, effort, everything on a personal development level, and went, what the hell? What the hell? And I can, so that's more on a personal development and on a spiritual side, right? So I believe that we hit all five. So we're talking about personal development and then spirituality, religion. I'm sure that none of you, I'll just stop right there. Right away. It's like, hey, I went down that wormhole. I think that
Religion and politics, you just stay away
yeah,
from.
yeah. Isn't it funny that if a person was talking on a personal development side or a spiritual side, sometimes they connect those two. But like you said, biting in hook, line, and sinker to conspiracy theory, I think is just as crazy as doing it in a religious level. It's just that you mentally at one side really truly believe that the earth is flat. If I'm jumping off the deep end and everyone says bad things, I've just been very high in the air, and I can actually see the circumference. It's like, so it's hard for me to look at it and just go, hey, so, but that's my opening, because I know that Craig and Matthew can jump on like all kinds of different levels. And my goal of this podcast is to let every one of you know that the biographies of some of the most inspiring people that I know are the ones that are human, that tell people how many mistakes they make. And good example for me is someone thought, at one time, you might not believe it today, but at one time in this world, Bill Gates was pretty damn inspirational. This is even before Apple, right? So when everyone in the world is loading up their computer and they have Windows running on it, he pulled off some pretty cool stuff. And he talks about where everyone was telling him this thing about the internet and that he should have a browser and a thing called email. And he says right in his book, The Road Ahead, he told everyone, hey, listen, pay attention. If anyone approaches me about this stupid subject again, you're fired. You're frickin' fired. And to think that someone had the courage to take a bunch of little floppy disks, for some of you, you can go on Google and look up what the floppy disk is. And there were a bunch of them, rubber banded together as one, I think, of 10, and you had to load in a little bit at a time. And that was wasn't that Netscape Navigator? It definitely
Navigator was one of them,
Yeah.
and
And-
Netscape was the other one. Yeah.
Yeah, and so someone left that on his desk, and he loaded them into his desk and jumped on and stayed there for hours and hours and hours and hours. And when everyone came back, he then said, "We're dropping everything. We're coming out with a new browser that was called Internet Explorer." He gave away free email called Outlook, because he knew that thing was going to change everything. And so it's neat to hear from people that we look up to. And I've heard stuff from Elon Musk. I've heard some stuff from, Jeff Bezos. I've heard some stuff from Mark Zuckerberg, Warren Buffett. It's neat to see extremely inspiring people that have done stuff. And they tell you, well, I messed up here. I messed up here. I messed up here. So I hope that was a good opening for us. So Craig, Matt, one of you jump in and
Craig, go ahead. You go first.
Well, okay, should have known better. Yeah, I think to me, should have known better is not just something that you beat yourself up over, but I think it's a learning experience too. Sometimes, what's the story? How do you know if the hot water in the boiling pot is hot? Well, you see steam blowing up. You feel around. It's kind of warm, but what do you do instead? You put your hand into the hot water and you scald yourself. Darn, I should have known better. Okay, so the next time I see all of those elements put together, I'm going to be a lot more careful. I'm not going to put my hand in the pot. I'm going to trust that, let's see, I see this, I see this, I see this, I see this. It's hot. I'm not going to touch it. But that's the thing is, we keep beating ourselves up.
Yeah.
And I know I do have said on previous podcasts, we have to learn to give ourselves grace. Consider these things that we should have known better lessons. And you bring that up all the time, Robert, because when you say, ignorance, you don't know that you don't know. Well, even though maybe somebody has said it, you haven't experienced it.
Right.
And then when you experience it, it's like, okay, now that has made an indelible impression upon me. I think I am going to do or not do what it is. Where should have known better becomes a problem, in a sense, is when you've said it over and over and over and over and over and over again, and
Right.
it still is not getting through. I've always loved your analogy is you got to change that CD, pull it out, put in the new CD, change that stinking thinking, and one step at a time, move forward. Now, of course, I'm being altruistic and everybody does that, right?
Right.
Well, we try to do it.
Yeah. And the word try is, a great Yoda-ism, you know what I mean?
I was going to say, we're going to have to come up with something else other than the CD or DVD because there's computers don't even come with those anymore. So
yeah, like
I don't have a drive at all in my computer for discs.
Download.
So yeah, I guess you could do a reinstall.
Right?
Yeah, there you go.
That could work. But I think what you're saying, Craig, Dad, absolutely. I think you have a certain level of I should have known better, fool me once type of stuff that we all experience. Sometimes we go through the same should have known better in a different way, and Dad, you going through the 5 things. Sometimes you have to be taught the same lesson in multiple different areas of your life. And that is to accept that you I don't know. Anytime and my should have known better is just like I should have known to be more humble and more observant in many areas of my life, instead of being so egotistical and needing things to be my way. I should have known that the impact of that would be like difficulty with my friends, difficulty with other people in my life, friends and family, and stuff like that, by me being more egotistical about what I thought or what I believed. I should have known better about human beings, like how they respond to others. And I think since I've been learning more about myself and learning more about the world, I've realized how important it is to just take a step back and be humble and observe, and how much easier life is when you stop putting yourself in the middle of everything in life.
Right.
Oh, there's some big thing going on. What's my opinion on it? I need to put myself in the middle of this. People need to hear what I have to say. And you were talking about like conspiracy theories or anything.
Pick me. I have the answer.
Right. And so it's like, instead, step back, be an observer, be humble of the world that you're in, accept that the fear of the unknown is normal, and that we all have that, and that's never going to go away. So like there's always going to be that anxiety of the unknown. And that's another thing. Like, there's been so many times in my life where I should have known better to take the next step and to push myself, that I didn't. I stayed back and I stayed comfortable and maybe lost out on opportunities. And I should have known better at that time that that's what I wanted, or that's what I should have been doing, and pushed myself to grow in those areas to accomplish those things sooner. You know what I mean? Because I think I saw my potential as less, like my self-esteem was less, even though I was egotistical. Normally that ego comes with like lack of self-esteem deep down. So you're like projecting, right? Saying, look at me, I'm like a big, strong, smart person. And then it's like, well, no, actually, I'm really scared that you might think I'm not. And that's why I do that. And so that's mine.
Yeah, because part of what you're saying, I love that, because again, you and I, all three of us visionaries, and I know that people will post in the chat. It's like, we all start out thinking what something might be, but it's like I should have known better. It comes from a place where you were saying, Matt, that I should have known better, that instead of second guessing myself and not loving myself and not believing in myself. And for me, my biggest should have known better is why I consistently fight with trying to figure it out on my own instead of asking for help.
That's mine too.
One of the biggest.
I tell myself not to do that anymore. I continue to try to learn the lesson. I sometimes, we always sometimes teach what we have to do. And I've always had this thing where I'm beating the hell out of people for listening to people that don't know. I was thinking about, if I blanket all the different categories we talked about, why do we listen to other people's opinions? It's like, it's so bizarre that we can go down such a rabbit hole and waste so much time and effort just because we want to believe in frickin' something. Just frickin' something.
Right. So, or be part of a group that.
Oh my God. So now, I get to tell on myself first, because I'll lead by example. But when I always knew when I got out of prison that I wanted to find the people that knew the answers to this thing called religion. You know what I mean? Is there a God? Whatever. And because I'm sort of a geek from the dork force, it didn't take me long to realize that you could look up in the yellow pages. Again, for some of you watching this, you'll have to Google what that is. But if you look under religions, or I looked at churches, and then I started realizing that some people call them kingdom halls, and some people they don't call them churches, and some people call them, the temple. And it's like, wait a minute. Not I got chills when I said that. It's not only that there's so many different beliefs, but they even have different words for the same thing. So I've always had an incredible need to want to be connected to whatever I believe is out there. And so when I moved to Billings, me trying to do this research, of course I'm seeking it. That's the other thing. We understand that our mind, we're looking for something, we're constantly looking. So people go, how do we attract these bullshitters, right? How do we attract these people that are really good at telling an exciting story that's just full of shit? It's like, because we're thinking about it. How did you get in a bad relationship and have someone treat you bad? Because you didn't want to be alone. You might be in a bad financial situation and sick and tired of wanting to work for money. You're sick and tired of your job. You don't feel like you're significant. You don't make any money. You feel like garbage. So then someone says, hey, I got a way for you to invest a little bit of your money and you'll never have to work again. That's for me. So you got to stop beating yourself up. You got to sort of say, was I asking for this? So anyway, very short story before I met Matt's mother. Terry is like, so this guy approached me out of nowhere, like a Mormon or a Jehovah Witness. And he says, and that's what he said. Are you looking for the way? I was like, I am. So this was called the Church on the Way. And they met at houses and stuff like this. And I'll never forget that I went to a building. It was like a hotel. They had like 300 people in there. And I'm not saying anything negative here. All right. But all of a sudden, they were teaching people how to talk in tongues. And I was like, now, wait a minute. These guys are going crazy. These women and guys are like dancing all over the place. This guy pulls his suit jacket off and he hit this girl with it. And she went off the stage and fell on her face because she was smitten with the Holy Spirit. And I was going like, the snakes are going to come out next. I know that here, you cannot be hurt by any snake. Let it bite you and see if you live. You died. Okay. You didn't have enough faith. It's like, so if you guys don't know me, I have an addictive personality. Thank God that it's addictive to personal development. But when I go in, I go all in. So I was reading these books and it was difficult because I was dyslexic and I was listening to these group of people. And then all of a sudden it became very apparent that, why don't you give us a bunch of money and why don't you quit your job and why don't you follow us? You know what I mean? And it's like, we're waiting for a comet. We're all going to dress in white clothes. And when the comet comes across, we'll kill ourselves and we'll go with the comet and everything will be fine. It wasn't that kind of cult, but it sounded like it was when I was listening. So now all of a sudden you go, this is not quite the story that I was looking for. I think that I need to listen to some other people.
Right.
So, but I do remember going, what is wrong with me? Am I so empty inside and so non-feeling that I attract something like this? And I can remember beating myself up for a long time on that one. So I just thought I'd throw that out, Craig and Matt, because I actually wrote myself a question here. What is your worst? I should have known better. I thought if I tell people, because don't you guys find it interesting? And I want you guys' feedback on this. Don't you find it interesting that the rest of the people around the world can outside see a perception of what you're doing and going, that person doesn't have a brain cell. There is no freaking way that I would fall for this. Like, we hear the catfish stories. It's like, well, how much did you give them? I only gave them $1.2 million of my inheritance. And how many times have you talked to them? You mean physically talk to them? Yeah, so I hear their voice. Oh no, none. But they love me, and they're right now stuck in a government that's being oppressive and won't allow them to leave with their passport. When you hear someone talk about their truth,
Right.
and you're like, oh my God, this is rubber jacket time.
And
No,
that's
I
where
mean,
should have known
yeah.
better comes around, is what is their truth versus, okay, because I know the political environment, but what is their truth versus the reality of things? And obviously this is what they believe, but is it true? And that's where the how do you know that comes into play.
It is.
Yeah, no, I mean, when you think back, like, all you have to do is like look at humans in general and the way that we are. Like, and you talk about religion, you talk about certain beliefs. The further back you go, the more you'll have ideas that were commonplace that now would be laughed at. Like,
Mhm.
you brought up at the beginning of this, Dad, like the earth is flat type of stuff, right? If people believe that and they're looking at the evidence and they still go, no, it's not that way, it's flat, everything like that. It just is another reminder that we really do make our own reality. And even if you say like, this is reality, it's that in and of itself is very subjective and has become
I would
more
agree.
subjective the more the internet has
Mhm.
spread more different thoughts and beliefs about why we're here, what we're doing here. Before I got on here, I saw all over Twitter and stuff that Mexico came out and showed alien bodies or something like that in a press conference or whatever, right? And they look like mummified corpses. I remember Hannah last night, she walked up and she showed it to me. And I'm like, they're so tiny and everything like that. And if these turn out to be the real aliens, because everyone's like, Mexico wouldn't come out and show these bodies to people, the government wouldn't if they weren't real. What a joke that would be to everybody if that was the
Right.
case.
Mhm.
But it's so interesting because same ideology. If you got enough people to believe that those are alien bodies, then guess what? They're alien bodies.
Yeah, they are.
And that's the way that a lot of things are with us. And I think when you subjectively look back and go, should have known better, sometimes that could be egotistically. Like, you're like, I should have been smarter, right? Like, I was
Mhm.
smarter at the time. I should have made a better decision. But when you look back at it and try to learn from it, you have to do that with that humility aspect. I love this one saying, starve the ego, feed the soul, and the soul is you. So the difference is your ego is not you. Your ego is what the world wants you to be.
Right.
And you're trying to be like, look at me, I'm this. I'm this. This is what you want, right? I'm financially wealthy. I've created things that are important. I've impacted people's lives. Look at me, right? And the feed the soul part is that you starve that aspect of yourself. You don't do the look at me aspect, but take all those things and use it to feed who you are as a person, feed the actual you, your soul. Go down and go, okay, I should have known better. But instead of being angry at myself, I'm going to try to learn from this with humility and learn about myself. Because the whole thing, when I go back to you make your own reality, is no matter what you're doing here, you get to decide what that is,
Right.
and you get to
Mhm.
decide what it is too, which is really interesting, and I've talked a lot on these podcasts about the more the internet has exploded and the more people want to like control people's thoughts and beliefs, it's become easier to do that now than it well, that's subjective too, but still it's pretty easy now because you can have echo chambers of things. And I truthfully think that if you're in an echo chamber where you're like, this is a belief 100%, take a step back and ask yourself now, maybe, should I know better? Right.
Yeah.
But
Right.
not from the egotistical beat yourself up part of I'm an idiot, with the soul part. Go, should I know better for me? Should I be doing, is this healthy for me? Is the anger that I feel towards a group of people or towards an idea or towards a belief, is that really serving me or serving humanity or serving the people around me? And if it's no, then you really need to think about why you're doing it or why you're up to it in the first place. So
Right. So Matt, so what do you at this point, what do you believe has been your worst? I should have known.
yeah, I mean, I think my should have known better is I spent like a good solid 20 something plus years of my life thinking that I already knew better. Like I had this whole concept in my mind that I was somehow always the smartest person in the room, right? And I had things that had happened in my life that I used as evidence that that was the case. And if you know anything about becoming a better person or becoming stronger, it's that if you're the smartest person in the room, then that's a bad room to be in, right? But I think that
That's why everybody wants to be a trainer, right?
right. Well,
Because
but at
then
the same
I can,
time, what an egotistical thing to say, because you're basically saying, okay, if I'm the smartest person in the room, then that means that there's nobody here that I can learn anything from.
right.
And that I think is one of the biggest mistakes. I should have known better in my life. It took me a while to connect with people more emotionally because I was unwilling to learn about their emotions or unwilling to learn about who they were and how it affected them. Everything was like serve a purpose, right? This serves this purpose for me. So therefore I used to be one of those people that if I had a friendship, it needed to serve me. And then when it didn't anymore, it was like, why am I still friends with this person? Now I'm like, I'm friends with this person because I have that emotional connection in this one area with them. And that's great that I get to have that. So that's my should have known better, biggest one.
Yeah,
I don't really
and it's
have
funny,
a
man,
financial one, but
because of your age, you're 31, we
right.
all laugh at ourselves when we go through whatever. I guess it would, because we're all unique with different DNA, different fingerprints. We all go through that phase where everyone on the planet is an idiot but us. It's
If only they thought like me, how easy would this all be, right? This experience. As if that's the experience you'd want, I don't want a hive mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
that must be one of the learning phases that people don't realize, that there must be a moment, and maybe not everyone's life, but there is a moment where you pretty much think that you have everything figured out. And then when you turn 61 or maybe older, maybe some people never get it. It's like where you start realizing that, okay, the majority of the stuff that I not only believed in, but really, really put a lot of thought and effort and passion and enthusiasm, and just like, hey, this is the way it is. And you go, holy crap, I was so lost. I was so lost. Terry has this really funny statement all the time, and she said this from the time that I met her. She's so wise, and she would say, the people that are barking the most are usually the people that are closet people. I was like, what are you talking about? And they say, you get someone with a blowhorn that's yelling at everybody saying that they're against something, they probably are that person.
no, I agree. I mean, to a certain extent, you know what I mean? I think that there's a level of, and I want Craig to chime in here too, but there's a level of judgment that exists that tends to be, they feel like it's a should have known better, but maybe that's just who they are and they're just hating for that reason. But
yeah.
Well, it's also part of being a part of the group. And
that's
group
true.
dynamics.
Yeah, it's the group dynamic thing, because how many of us have in our head said, nah, this is not right, but yet we still move with the group because we want to be a part of the group. We don't want to lose that connection with the
Good.
people that we are associating with. And yes, it is something that sometimes we need to be on our own. I know that, there have been a couple of times where it's like in a corporate atmosphere, and you know where I'm talking about, because I did kind of share it one time, where it's like, no, this is not right. And then they're bullying me. This is in a boardroom. They're bullying me to believe what they want me to believe. And I'm like, no, this is not right. This is incorrect. I'm not going to vote. I'm not going to make it an 11-1 vote just because you're pressuring me.
Right.
And then at the same time, and here is where the word balance comes in a sense, what you guys are talking about. If you're not balanced in what you know, if you've not done the research, if you've not experienced certain things, then yeah, maybe people would say, oh, you're egotistical, you're just showing off and things like that. And sometimes you just have to take that because this is how you feel. Should have known better is very, very much hindsight. But are you going to learn from that? And again, that's kind of what we started here with in this podcast is,
Craig, what's your worst one?
The worst one that I had?
Your worst shouldn't have done that.
Okay. This one, Robert. It's staying with the company longer than I should have. And that's from a financial business standpoint.
Right.
And
there's not a more loyal person than Craig Jackman. I mean, you go to Wikipedia and look up loyal and Craig's smiling there. But yeah, when you're the last employee, and then they tell you they can't pay you that week, that might have been too long.
Exactly. Should I have known better? Yes. And you know what? You kind of suggested maybe I should go into a different direction, Robert. Because
Right.
I remember our discussions that we would have at lunch when after you had left. And
hey,
so
I stayed in. My last call to Maricar was, I'm going to charge back my credit card because you charged it and I never got the product. So that's how long I was in.
Yeah. But see, that's the thing that for me, at least, is, and you hit the word, is loyalty, wanting to belong, trying to be the best person because you and I both thought this was it. And I was come hell or high water, I was going to stay with this company.
We got to make it work.
Yeah, we got to make it work. And it didn't. And to eat that crow was so hard. And it took me a while to get through it.
Yeah, recovery. Yeah.
It's easy to say.
The one thing that, Craig, during the time that you went through that, looking back, everyone can say, other than I should have known better, is then the other group on the other side where are the told you so's.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
And
the worst part is from those people who care about you too.
Oh my God. It's just like we're not listening. I think that everyone that watches this video live or recorded have gotten in a relationship with somebody. It could have been because of intimacy. It could have been because of a friend. It could have been a business partner. There's so many different avenues where you can have a relationship, coworkers,
yes.
So on and so forth. And it's weird. It's just weird how, my wife has told me multiple times. She walks up, hi, Terry, this is so-and-so. And we walk away and she's going, No.
Hannah's got that same ability.
You
Yeah.
don't know them. You don't know them. You know what I mean? And I fight for the right to be right because I don't need someone that doesn't know them like I do. You know, this illusion that I create in my head because I want it to be positive, right? And the one thing that really hurt me about those conversations, Craig, that you and I had is you always didn't want to admit that your mom didn't like what you were doing. You know, so Craig would be all bulletproof and we're going to pull this off and da 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 da. And I'd go, is everything going great? And he would say, well, my mom's not very happy with what I'm doing. And I would go, God dang it, you know, because I'm not going to tell him, well, your mom doesn't know any damn thing. It was like, I just had to listen and go, really? Oh yeah, she thinks of me so much and she knows that I got an education. She knows that I should be paid what I'm worth. All the great things that a good loving mother would want for her son or daughter. And she's like, these guys are overworking you. They're not paying you. You got to drive all the way over here. She's like, listen. And Craig was like, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, and yes, as Jerome Marshall says here in the chat, should have known better.
Yeah.
But see, that's the thing, is that we do second guess ourselves a lot. And oftentimes, is that where we should have known better? When we hear that little voice that is second guessing. And even then, when we go full bore into it,
right?
You know, like what you were saying with the wagon, it's like, yeah, I don't care. I'm going all the way down this hill, and then you find out later, oh God, no, I should have known better.
On my chest and my face, it was a cool ride. It was like,
like 3 seconds, and it was awesome, and then the seconds after that weren't so great.
And everybody else thought it was pretty cool too. I am sure there was a few people.
I mean, I was a teenager at the time, so I was like, hell yeah, Dad.
Well, even looking back, Robert, in your career or in your history, you know, the should have known better. What about when you stole the beer truck?
Oh my God.
It's probably the ultimate should have known better.
I'm probably right.
I see. There's no doubt that I'm a risk taker. So if people really knew this, and I wonder if this is true about, you know, you got the average person and then you have the above average person and then maybe the extraordinary person. I wonder if they have, because Mark Cuban always said one of his favorite statements is, I only needed one to work. And that was broadcast.com and Take It Public, and then Yahoo buys it for billions of dollars, and now he's a billionaire, you know? So it's like, I only need one to work. And so I've heard him talk about how many things that he did that didn't work. And I'm a risk taker. I got a lot of them. I got, like I say, a lot of the trophies that are behind me are companies that are no longer in existence. That's pretty important. You know, say, hey, you know, I was the #1 money earner for Pro Travel Network. I took the company from $1 million to $10 million in 1 year. It was extraordinary. Pro Travel, I haven't heard of them. No, you wouldn't. It's like, you know, so, and I was thinking too, if I was asked, okay, what's the number two? That's why I brought up in the early part of this podcast is, you know, some of us are really incredible people pleasers. And because we don't really know who we are or taking the time to fall in love with ourselves, to talk to ourselves, to see if this is what we should be doing, and we don't trust our instincts, we don't trust our connection with a higher power, I've allowed other people to share with me reasons why I should do certain things. And I was thinking, my first marriage, for the love of God, man, it was like, there were signs the day I got married.
Yep.
It is like, you know, Matt gets to be one of the lucky ones where it's like one and done. You know what I mean? But it's yeah, it was like, you know, I did that because that's just what you're supposed to do.
And
And
that's the other thing is these are things that we are indoctrinated in when we
Oh,
are
yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
And there are certain expectations that we have to live in life. Now, when I say we, I'm talking about our group because our group is what we were raised with. It's not what somebody else was raised with.
right.
And somebody else was told, do this, not that, while other people are saying, do this, not that. Why can't we do both? Or why do we have to do that? Because that's not really making sense.
Yeah,
It's
like not believing, like when I say not asking for the right help, I still have difficulties with in the last week. In the last week, it's like, why aren't I seeking out people that have the life that I want to have? Why aren't I clear on where I want to be and then seeking out people that are alive that are at that position and asking for help and getting those little things. And so today, when in my video, when I was talking about, you know, their interviews are out there if they're not alive. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's still this thing where, you know, people got to be all damn proud about learning through the school of hard knocks. It's like,
Oh my gosh.
that's not going to be good on, that's not going to be good on your tombstone, by the way. It's like,
Well, I think it becomes like you know, in chat, Jerome said we're in the look at me generation. I feel like in a lot of ways, asking for help now is like I don't know. You could become a success, but then you'll have millions of people saying that you're not a success because of all these other reasons
right,
why you benefited, right?
right,
And you know, Walter Isaacson's book on Elon Musk just came out the other day, and I've been listening to it. And it's interesting because when you go back into his past, there's a lot of abuse there, and there's a lot of bad stuff there with his dad and everything. But as far as him being like well off, he had times in his life where he was very well off. And so there's people that would look at him and go, listen, any success, wealthiest person on the planet, all that stuff, they'll discount all of those things because he was raised with money, because he was raised with more money than someone else. Or similar with Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg. Both these people came from wealthy families already.
right.
And that's where like Steve Jobs gets put in a different category because he wasn't, right? So he was an orphan and then was adopted. So like I think it's really interesting when you have I guess you could say it's like a whole generation, right? The generational difference between my generation and your guys's is there's almost like this huge badge of honor if you do it yourself. And so
Right.
there's almost like this level of like I'll beat myself up and do it because then I get all of the credit. And I don't want anyone else to get any of the credit because then they'll
Wow.
discount who
Ooh.
I am. But the reality is if you look back into the past, the people that are always respected tend to be the people that give credit to the people that are do it all the
Right.
time, right?
Yes.
And so like there's nothing wrong with doing that. Going back to you know, I really should have just kept my ego in check, and I still think of that all the time. It's still something that when I step into something new, I start doing well at it immediately. I'm like, take a couple steps back, check your ego, make sure you're humble. Like you said, Dad, kind of try to seek out people that are where you want to be. And just put yourself in that position because I think it really can become self-defeating after a while when you constantly are pushing yourself to do shit without any help whatsoever.
Right.
I,
It's
It is
exhausting.
like,
it's not masculine to do that.
well,
That's a big one, of course,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's like when, you know, so, you know, a lot of you know that, the company that I'm in right now, My Daily Choice, is number 19 for me. Number 19. So why do I have 7 number 1 trophies behind me? 19 minus 7 is 12 no trophies.
Maybe those companies didn't make it to making trophies. No.
Yeah. It's like, so, and I don't know. It's like I sit and think about that sometimes, and it was like, so of course I did very well in NSA, my first company, because I was just excited and kept throwing people in front of my mentor. It was like a pretty easy deal for me. That's why I sort of, get really upset at people that are struggling. It's like they just won't do the process, right? So then I do that same thing in Equinox, because it's the same mentor. This was a pretty easy deal for me, right? My mentor starts his own company. I just follow it. Which let me see, which trophy? It doesn't matter. But one of these trophies, I think I just got a plaque from him. That's true. I just got this plaque from him, right?
Just a piece of paper?
Yeah, just a piece of paper. I put some stickers on it though.
They got their official stamps.
Yeah. But that company went out of business. I was on 2020 with Barbara Walters and Hugh Downs on the opposite side of my mentor that took that company down. You can Google it, Equinox International. They took everything away from my mentor. You know what I mean? So, but when I got in that company, I should have known better that when he sat down with everyone, and it was a simple statement, all he said is, wouldn't you agree if we all started at the same place and then worked our way up? And so what that meant is he demoted all of us. We had to re-earn our top position with $1 million a month in volume. And he took 60 or 70% of all of our downlines and put them underneath the company. He made sure that everyone not only got demoted, but started with less than 50% of their income in the group that they had before they started.
Right. Yeah. And then they had to work their way back up for him, basically, right?
Yeah. So in
Right.
my mind, I should have went, that ain't going to work for me. But me, including everyone in that room, didn't say a frickin' thing.
Yeah.
Didn't say a frickin' thing. We're all just along for the ride. And so, and then another thing too, I'm just throwing out a bunch of them because of time, is I've did my very best with all the knowledge and wisdom that I have to start my own company 3 times. And first one was timing. I was selling websites from a programming software. It's called UPC Sites. Matt was making websites and logos and stuff from that stuff. And then all of a sudden, it was one day where I had like 5 or 6 people that reached out and said, I'm not paying $50 a month anymore for the website. And I go, why? And they said, well, I built one on MySpace. And so there's some things that you get involved. I've been involved in building millions of dollars and technical things that are now obsolete, like long distance. I made millions of dollars from helping people with their long distance, and there's going to be people that will watch this video. They're going to have to Google what long distance is. It's so you can be on the wrong side of things, like Craig said, where you look at, Kodak and they're going, digital is not going to happen. I heard a true story behind this, where the guy that invented digital photography, of course he took it to Kodak first. He did not want to compete with them. Kodak told him no, and he took it to Samsung. And Samsung was a company that came out with the first digital camera. We hear stories like this all the time, and it's like, I should have known better. It's like Google went to Yahoo because they ran out of money and tried to get Yahoo to buy Google. They flipped him the finger and said, "Your competition." How many of you watching this video went to Yahoo this morning to Yahoo something?
Yeah, I
Mhm.
can't even remember the last time. Like, there's a lot of examples of those things, and I think, you know, through history, when you look at certain decisions, it's easy for us to go, should have known better, but it's so hard to like predict the future sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, if someone was an expert in it, then they'd be pretty wealthy. Some people are wealthy and then they lose it all
Yep.
because they predict from one. You know, one really interesting thing that's going on right now is I've watched over the last like decade Mark Zuckerberg buy up and try to make an attempt to recreate the success of Facebook like 3 or 4 times. And every single time, like Instagram was already successful, WhatsApp was already successful when they bought them. Oculus was somewhat successful, but he tends to like buy something thinking he can compete in it with everybody else and then ends up not. So now the big race is AI, right? So it's
Right.
like Google's in AI, Microsoft's in AI, everybody you could imagine is in AI. And so everybody's racing right now in a very different race. It's almost like the internet race again, where if you were Kodak, right, and you're looking at all these places,
Mhm.
the only difference is like instead of digital cameras, you going, we'll get in that business if it takes off. That's like a 10-year down the line business. All
Yeah.
of these companies are going, if we don't nail this, we're done. Like we're an out of business,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
And so I think what's really interesting and how I'd love to end this talk is like this should have known better into the future, like how we're going to, with what we've learned so far. And you're talking about like envisioning your future, where you want to be and everything like that. Um, what have you guys learned to do better when envisioning your future? Like I should have, because I know there's that one statement out there, right? Like humans underestimate what they can do in a certain amount of time. Dad, do you want
Right.
to share?
Yeah. It's human beings grossly overestimate what they can do in a short period of time. So, like a
Right.
month, 6 months, a year, it's like I see people get involved in the business that I'm in all the time, and they really truly can believe that they can make, 10,000 their first week. It's a, so it's unrealistic expectations,
Right.
because I remember thinking the same thing. I remember getting involved, and I'm going, who would say no to what I talked about yesterday?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you guys check out the video, what I sell, who can frickin' say no to freedom, lifestyle, contribution? Who can say no to that? And then I find out that almost everybody says no to that. But the other one is we grossly underestimate what we can pull off in 3 years. So
Right.
one of the things I learned, and I don't mind giving this book a plug, is The Code to the Extraordinary Mind by Vision Lakhani. This one really, we're on a podcast, but he calls them bullshit rules of our life, that we have we have all these rules and beliefs, and the way that we should morally and ethically sort of run our lives, that this is what we should do, and we don't know where they came from. Like, the story of the 4 women, 4 different females that are at a Thanksgiving party, and all of a sudden, the mom starts cutting the ends off the ham, and the little girl goes, "Mom, why do you cut the ends off the ham?" And she said, "Well, I did what my mom told me." And she was right there. And she said, I did that because grandma did it. So the way I tell the story is the little girl goes into the living room because grandma's watching football. She's not in the kitchen, she's learning, right? And she says, "Grandma, why did you cut the ends off the ham?" And she said, "Oh, honey, my oven was so small, I couldn't fit the entire ham in my oven."
Yeah.
So this is the bullshit things that we pass down through generations and traditions with not even knowing why the hell we do it. We don't even know where the hell that came from. And so in that path, Matt, is one of the things that I learned in the 6 phase meditation, is that your life has to be in your vision. Vision inspires success in others now. That it's got to be a vision of like I'm at I'm at a home, at a location that I love, and when I wake up, I can see the ocean. I can smell the ocean. I can hear the waves. The weather is perfect, and not be so, it's this address in this neighborhood.
Mm.
So me right now, I know that the things that I want to accomplish are going to be incredible because it's already been done. I've not even invented this. I will have 1 million people on subscription. 1 million loyal, satisfied, happy people that are plugged into us and the people that are part of that community. We will have 1 million people strong that we're feeding their souls every day on every level. And so that really honestly is where my challenge is of losing 100 pounds. I'm going to lose 100 pounds and get in such great shape because I feel like that's the only one of those 5 I'm missing.
Mm.
When I listen to the 6-phase meditation and it says, put yourself and where you would like to live. And Matt and Craig have seen some of the places I've lived. It's like,
I've lived in them. No.
yeah. So all of them I can click off. I can click off. And then when it comes to the health part of it, my body's doing some weird things to me because of my age and because of my weight. And I'm just sick and tired of it. You know what I mean? I'm just sick and tired of it. So, I just know in my hearts of hearts that if I was carrying around the right kind of weight, whatever that weight is, and I'm trusting in myself that I know what to do. I don't need anyone's frickin' opinion. I'm not following any diet, any program, anything. I was sharing with Matt today that I seen on the news, and I don't know if you guys seen this. The news is just running because I'm not paying attention to it. But but all of a sudden they said that there's a certain product that they put in every thing that has to do with congestion. So if you buy NyQuil, Benadryl, all of these things. And I was telling Terry this because this goes back to believing. Why do we believe? I used to tell people, and Craig was with this company, and we had 758,000 people on auto ship, right? And there was a product that was in it called Ganoderma lucidum, which is another name for reishi or the red mushroom, the king of mushrooms, right? And I told a group of people one time that they've already proven scientifically that 16% of the people are getting a placebo effect from anything that we're doing. So now that they found that this one product that you take orally has nothing to do and no scientific proof that it helps with your congestion, I told Terry that there's hundreds of millions of people on this planet that just said bullshit. When I take that product, my congestion goes away. That's called a placebo effect. That's how strong your mind and your spirit is. It's like, hey, you want to do something? No, listen, I got a sinus headache and I just, took this thing and, let's do it in an hour. I'll be fine. How do you deal with, like, I should have known better? Like, none of us really, really believe that everything that the FDA approved is good for you, right?
It wouldn't be if they were banned in other countries. So.
Yeah, that's coming out more and more. Yes.
And so you find out things that are FDA approved that are scientifically proven are all of a sudden all pulled off shelves of every store in the world. It's like,
every day I wake up, I put on my non-aluminum deodorant, and I'm like, not me. It's not gonna get me.
It is like I hope that if anything in this podcast, you guys can laugh at us because one day I hope you laugh at yourself. It is fun for me to sort of look back at the I should have known betters and really truly believe 1000% with no bullshit at all that every one of those made me who I am today.
Do you think, since I got both of you guys here, that leads me to like a great question. It's like, do you guys think, with the wisdom and the things that you guys have experienced, that gets easier?
Yes and
Or
no.
just it changes maybe, or what?
Yeah.
Craig stole my answer. That was exactly what it is.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
I still got to deal with this.
Yeah, this is just something that you got. Great question, Matt. Holy
Mhm.
crap. So how can you protect yourself from beating the crap out of yourself for again having another thing that you shouldn't done?
Right.
So inner
Like, how do you
circle.
laugh at it? You know what I mean? Because I think, for people my age and from like my generation, I think people beat themselves up more now than like I've ever seen.
Oh,
And
I
so
agree.
it's really interesting because when you were saying that, the thing that came to my mind when you're like, you just laugh at it, is like, do you get to a certain point where then it all just becomes funny and you don't like have those
Yeah,
dreams anymore, where you're still making that
yeah.
mistake again and you're going, why did I do that 30 years
Or
ago or
not
whatever,
only
Yeah.
do I laugh at it, pretty instantly, I don't allow it to pull me out of my vortex, and I don't hone on it anymore for like long periods of time. And the other thing is, how fast I can forget it and move on. Which are things that I did that I shouldn't have done, that I was like, how could I do that? I should have known better. But then I beat myself up about that for years and years and years and years and years. And now I can dump it pretty quick, Matt. One of the things that, how you found your incredible wife is another huge mess up of mine, and trying to create another company, unlimited profits. And I should have known better. And I do believe now, even though I should have known better, I do know that this is going to pass and it's still going to work out.
What's interesting is sometimes from situations like that, you don't actually know without hindsight what you actually got or didn't get from it.
Exactly.
Because like,
That's why
as
the
you're
yes and
saying that,
no.
of course, right. Now that makes sense, Craig, because then when you're at that stage, it's almost like, yes, like that was a huge pain in the ass. Yes, all those things. But on the other hand, I met Hannah. So like, it was even all that
Yeah.
stuff was like worth it to me in
Well,
my experience. So it's
well,
like,
doesn't Steve Jobs talk about it's so easy to connect the dots after you're past them?
Oh,
And so
whether
that's
it's
what
him or not, it doesn't matter. Yes, that is
yeah, yeah.
right.
So that's what you got to do. You got to look
hindsight.
at
Yeah.
how to stop beating yourself up and allowing you to make mistakes. Is that I should have known better? Is, well, maybe I didn't listen to my instincts. Maybe I didn't listen to a higher power. Maybe I didn't ask for help. This is a lesson, because I do
Mhm.
believe in that thing that the same lesson will continue to come back to you over and over again until you go, how could I have stopped that? Because it's easy for us to also go back and look at, I wish I wouldn't have done that, or should have known better. And now the goal is not only forgiveness, but actually being appreciative and grateful for going through that journey to get you to where you are. And then lastly, to be able to go, okay, I need to learn from this lesson. I need to pause. I need to, trust in me and how I feel and how much I've worked on my internal, and connection things, to just go, I think this, I can't even tell you guys, honestly. Terry could. I can't even tell you how many times I've given people money and them telling me that they're going to get it back to me. I can, and this is such a big deal. Do you guys realize I only can remember one that gave it back? That's how much of an emotional thing. This guy, Josh Denny, borrowed a bunch of money from me and Terry. and things didn't work out, and he went with another company, and he started doing really, 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 really good in that company. And so about 3 years later, he gives me a call and he says, listen, is there any way that I can stop by and say hi to you and Terry? And I said, yeah, I don't care. And he came in there and he had an envelope with his wife, and it was full of the money, and he even included the interest and gave it to Terry and I. And I was like, that story actually, because now he owns his own company, that story is actually okay for the other ones that never ever gave us our money back or ghosted us. I think that, like, again, Mark Cuban, whether you like him or not, I only needed one to win. So me giving money to things that I believe in long term, I know that these continued podcasts and these continued YouTubes and these contents that we're creating, the one story that everyone has about their YouTube channel is, oh my God, one day one of my videos went viral and it was all over.
Well, what's so interesting about it in general is not only do I know that we'll have that video, but at the same time as well, where I live is like, as long as I go back and those arrows are green, as in things are growing, we're getting more views each video, the views are more consistent. I just know all we have to do is be consistent 3 to 5 years and those numbers will be big.
Yeah.
Even bigger.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I think that that's
But that's the
when
way
people-
I feel about the way I feel about building an organization that
I brought that up.
Yeah.
I brought that up for that exact reason. Is a lot of people want, you were saying, that $10,000, they want that immediate success when everybody that they respect did it gradually. And the people that normally are not respected are the people that got it immediately.
Yeah.
Which is really weird, right? Because we all want it to be immediate. But if someone wins the lottery, we're like, they don't deserve that money. You know what I mean? They want it.
It should have been me.
They should be giving that money to somebody else. They should give it to me. They should give it to charity. They should do all these things with it because they didn't earn it.
I should have known better. I should have got a lottery ticket.
Exactly.
No, I'm sure every single one of us thinks of that every time they announce the new winner, and especially if it's like close to where you live. You're like,
or those were the numbers I picked.
Right.
Why didn't I?
Yeah, I just didn't go.
Those were my numbers.
Oh my God. Well, Matt, any closing statements?
No, I just think that, we continue to pick really good and interesting subjects on what to talk about on these podcasts, because the how do you know that in general kind of like spawns a lot of different things. It's so, Craig was the one I feel like that picked this topic, and it really, really brought like a lot of good subjects about like accepting yourself and not beating yourself up and not, I don't know, like you just have to be just as gradual, like we were saying with growing the business with yourself. Like that's a gradual process. It's not an immediate process either. Like I think when people try therapy or they try to do something new for themselves or big for themselves to grow, they always want it to be like so immediate. And it's like, if you're just getting that 1% better, then you're 365% better at the end of the year, 1% better a day. And people don't see that gradual growth. They're not interested in it. I want to start doing the book club and film stuff next month, and I'm going to set up a whole trailer, and it's going to be like, here's the movie we're watching, here's the book, and here's when we're going to discuss it. And I'm excited about that. But at the same time, I'm going to write under there the length of the movie, and I'm going to write under there how many pages of the book you need to read a day to finish it by the end of the month, by the time we're talking. Because I know when people look at a certain book, like How to Win Friends and Influence People, they'll go, I'll get through the book. I'll get through it, right? But then they don't, because they don't realize that they sat down and read 2 to 3 pages a day, that they would get through it in less than a month, way fast. Yeah. But people don't want to take that time. So like they ask how I read so many books a year or whatever. It's that gradual thing. It was the acceptance of that. It's that, oh, I don't have to sit down and read 100 pages. I just have to sit down each day and read 3, and I will read 30 books a year. I just have to read those 3 pages before bed at night. And so same with yourself, just be gradual. So that's my last statement with the subject.
Craig, go ahead.
Yeah.
That was good stuff, Matt.
Yeah, that's a hard one to follow up with, Matt, because
No.
I totally agree with. I guess the whole point of should have known better is that, okay, if you're saying that to yourself, you've obviously realized that you should have known better. And why not just stop doing what it is that has caused you to say you should have known better? It's not easy. I'm guilty of this because I get in, Robert, you've said overthinking. We do that. That's part of the should have known better too, is the fact that you overthink a bit. But if you just say, okay, fine, I should have known better. Now, what can I do to make it better?
Right.
And I still have to do that because, okay, I know we talked about it earlier. It's I still look at it and I'm thinking, okay, because I was the man of the house, because I was the older son, the oldest sibling, that I should have known better. I should have done this. This should have been way my life leads so I can lead the rest of my family, my brothers and my sisters, to the final end result. But it doesn't work that way.
A lot of pressure too.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a lot of pressure. Yeah. And it's a matter of, and Jerome is saying it in the chat, Jerome Marshall, bite sizes. And that's where the 1% gooder every day, so that by the end of the year, you're 365% gooder at what you've started with. And it is, I know I've said it, give yourself grace. I don't think I would have what I have right now or been able to do what I am doing right now if it wasn't for the fact of, yes, I still kick myself for I should have known better to do this and do that. But once I find that out, then it's like, okay, now I know what to do because I've been guided. Someone has shared it with me who has been successful. Again, Robert, your success leaves clues and documentation beats conversation are so true. And yet we still fight it. And that's what we got to learn to do, is to not fight it. Just be who we are, accept what has happened. And I know Abraham Hicks is about that too.
Yeah.
Accept where you are today and then just take that step forward to where you want, so that you're back into the vortex of where you want to be or need to be.
Yeah, just get in that present. I know this might blow people away with my last statement here. But I know my life is what it is today, and the experiences that I've experienced is because I was just willing to do a lot of stuff I shouldn't have. Every time I messed up, every time I shoulda, woulda, I was always told never to take a partner, and every partner I had ripped me off, took advantage of me. But there was something that I learned from that lesson, and it ended up giving me something like a silver lining. So even though I not only made mistakes, but duplicated the mistakes a number of times, it really got me to know who I am. One of the craziest ones is being in business with Matthew and building our brands. So now I hate network marketing. Stupid. Should have known better. I don't hate network marketing. I hate the people that run them. You know what I mean? So you're hurt. So you just want to bait a big paintbrush. And so I'm looking at Tony Robbins and Eric Worre and Ray Higdon and going, listen, if these guys see I never, ever took the time to say, are they really making money? Do they really have freedom? See, I didn't know what I wanted. So I know one thing, I want to work with Matthew. And he's already in his heart, sort of doesn't have a good feeling. None of my sons have a good feeling about network marketing because of they've seen the people that hurt me in them, right? So I'm thinking, here's a chance I get to work with Matthew, and we're building this brand. We pay a lot of money, pay a lot of top coaches, to do it and find out that it wasn't a fit for us. It just wasn't a fit for me and Matt. So, me and Matt are close enough for him to say, I hate doing this stuff, but I got to keep doing it because it's taking care of our families. And for me to recognize that, oh, hell no, you're not responsible for me and your mom. I'm putting my foot down. I'm going to do something different. And that got me back into the industry that I love. So it's like it's one of those weird things that we try to protect ourselves from not making mistakes. And I just don't really know if I would be who I am today with the success and lifestyle that I have if I didn't make those mistakes. So it's like, why the hell do we beat ourselves up and tell other people about all our mistakes when we should be looking at every one of them as a stepping stone to getting us to where we are? It just gets us more in touch who we are, and it gets us to make us understand what's the most important, so we can focus on things that are important. I wrote a book because someone said I should. I started a brand because someone said I should. I got married the first time because someone said I should. It's like I got involved in certain companies because someone said I should. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, there's got to be a time where you go, I'm going to make the decision, and I'm going to learn from this decision, and I'm going to learn from the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. Because we always hear those neat cliches that, Babe Ruth, Babe Ruth's home run record, I think, has been broken 4 times now. But Babe Ruth still has a record that no one's broke, and that's for the most strikeouts in a single season. So he got the reward of everyone saying his name today that's keeping him alive, because he was willing to have more failures than he had successes. That's where I guess I can leave you guys.
That's perfect.
Well, thank you very much, Craig. I'll turn it over to you to close her out.
All right. Wow. Please, ladies and gentlemen, watch this again if you're struggling with the shoulda known better, because I mean, we don't solve the problem, but we sure point in the right direction, I think. And it's always an evolution. So anyways, you can always follow Robert Hollis at roberthollis.com. You can follow Robert on YouTube at roberthollis.com/YouTube. On Instagram at instagram.com/official Robert Hollis. On TikTok at tiktok.com/@realRobertHollis. Please don't forget to like and share this video on YouTube and share with others. It will help us grow our community and reach those with ears to hear. Robert's schedule typically every day, noon Pacific, Sunday through Fridays, with going live. Ask Me Anything on Saturdays at noon Pacific. And then, of course, you have the How Do You Know That podcast, which we just had today, 1 p.m. Pacific on Wednesdays. And if you're part of the inner circle, which you can go to roberthollis.com/join and become part of it, every Thursday we have breakthrough sessions, and these are incredible. We help people one-on-one get breakthroughs, and those take place Thursdays at 3 p.m. Pacific. But you have to be part of the exclusive inner circle. That's roberthollis.com/join. Thank you. And definitely shout out to Matthew. Bless you, my friend. Thank you for being such a great executive producer as well as co-host on this podcast. Robert, wow. Bless you, man. Thank you so much. You are the guide. You are a GPS to success and just our GPS to life because of that. And thank you, each and every one of you, for following and for being a part of How Do You Know That and all of our broadcasts. We really love you and we appreciate you. This is Craig Jackman. Until next time, please be good to yourselves. Be cash. And bye for now.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Craig. Amazing podcast.